This is Brother Yabal, and I'm with my good brother.
Brother Jew, Shalom.
Hey, Shalom, Shalom. So we had told you last week that we would not be having class on Sunday evening because of the Feast of First Fruits. So we gathered together, got to spend some time with Brother Jew and some other brothers, and we had a good time. And we did not want to put class off for another week, so we did it tonight. Now, that being said, Brother Jew and I talked because we do have some other stuff as far as meetings that we have to take care of for Iron Horn of Zion. And Sunday were selected for a meeting day. So, that being the case, we're going to move our class to Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern. Okay. And so we're going to be, we'll start that next week. So, look for us on Tuesday, and I will probably go ahead and send a Facebook message out to remind y'all of that. Brother Jew, you got anything you want to add to that, bro?
La, just glad to be here. Another week, another lesson. Uh, Looking forward to continuing to get built up in the Word. All praise to the Most High.
Con. I'm going to put out in the comments real quick the link to J and Lo Shalom, Brother Mathanya Shalom. I'm going to put the link to our playlist for the whole truth. I'm going to add that to the chat right now. I think I can add that. Let me see. It's going to let me add it. There we go. All right, we have a good class for y'all tonight. We're going to be talking about Deborah. Hey, Brother Jew, if you can remind me before we log off, or anybody else who was on, if you'll remind me to add the link to our previous series, which was the family discussion. We want y'all to be able to find these very easily, okay? So we're going to talk tonight about the prophetess Deborah. Now, what happened with this, I'm not getting off subject from what we've been teaching. This is going to fall right in line with that. What happened was it was on my mind. Deborah had been on my mind. And somebody, Khan, the water there, Mathanya. Appreciate
Wow.
that, bro. Good brother, Had to whip him in some spades this weekend, send him home, but he's still a good brother. I like to mess with brother can play. He's whooped me some, I've whooped him, so you know how it goes. But we always like to talk jump. But we had a good time. Um, so one of the brothers opened up their home, and we went there and we celebrated Pentecost, the first fruits. All right. So Deborah was on the line, and someone very close to me actually came to me and asked me about Deborah, and so we had a discussion about it. Then I was on Facebook, and a sister posted the question. She said, "Being that Deborah judged Israel, why do you brothers tell us that women can't teach?" So I sent her a message rather than answering it in Facebook, and I said, "Look, I'm going to be teaching on that in 2 weeks, and that's one of the reasons I didn't want to put this class off. And I will send you the link to it." So that being said, we're going to go into Deborah tonight, but we're going to start off in the book of Joel, chapter 2, verse 27. So let me share my screen real quick. And for y'all that don't know, Deborah was a prophetess. So we're not here to say anything negative about Deborah. Deborah was very important. The words that Deborah spoke were inspired by the Most High. So, I mean, she's a very powerful lady. And we're going to go into what a prophetess is tonight, what a prophetess is not. We're going to go into what Deborah is, what Deborah's deeds were, and because I think sometimes we read the story and we misunderstand what Deborah's role was. So, that being said, bro, you got me?
Khan. This is the book of Joel, chapter 2, starting at verse 27. And ye shall know that I am in the midst of Israel, and that I am the Lord your God, and none else. And my people shall never be ashamed.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 28. And it shall
Yeah.
come to pass afterward that I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh, and your sons and your daughters shall prophesy, Your old men shall dream dreams, your young
Mm-hmm.
men shall see visions.
Okay, so it says that your sons and your daughters shall prophesy. But then it went into old men and young men, dreaming dreams and seeing visions. Now, what we want to focus on tonight is not the fact that it went on to more specifics for only for men, which that is a good point, but we want to focus on this thing about your sons and your daughters shall prophesy. We have to establish what prophecy is and what it is not. So I'm going to go to the interlinear and we're going to look up this word prophesy real quick. It's something like Nabe or something like Nabe. Here it goes right here. Oh, and your sons and your daughters shall prophesy. Nabe. H5012. So that's telling you that's in the Hebrew because it's the Old Testament. And if you looked it up, it's word number 5012. Okay. Let's look at this and see what prophesy is. All right. So if we go to the outline of biblical usage, it says to prophesy. It says under influence of divine spirit, or it could be of false prophets. It says to prophesy under influence of divine spirits or false prophets again. So let's look at the Strongs right here. And we're going to look at how to pronounce this too since we're in here. It says a primitive root to prophesy, speak, or sing by inspiration. So what it's telling you is this person is not speaking their own thoughts. Their thoughts have been inspired. In this case, Deborah being a daughter of Zion who's obedient to the Lord, her words that she was speaking, they were coming from God. And that's very powerful because some people think that women can't hear from God, and that's not true. See, we're not going to bash women. What we're going to do is show you exactly what the Bible is saying. Okay. Now let's see how this word is pronounced.
Strong's H 5012. Nava. Nava.
Okay, so I was way off. It's Navak. Okay, so I want to show you something else before we actually get into Deborah herself. Let's go to Luke 1 and 28. Luke 1 and 28. Let me back out of this. I want to show you the angel Gabriel, what he said about a very important woman in our lineage, okay? A very important woman in Israel. And this woman is Mary. She's the mother, the earthly mother of the Messiah. You want to read that for us, King?
Khan, this is the book of Luke, chapter 1, verse 28. And the angel came in unto her and said, Hail, thou that art highly favored, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women.
Blessed art thou among who, King?
Among women.
See, so we have Mary here who is highly favored. And Mary is blessed. But it's saying amongst women, she is highly blessed among them. See, she's blessed. It says, Blessed art thou among women. So does that mean that Mary is not blessed if you compare her to a man? That's not what it's saying. What he's making clear is he's not establishing women to be in the same role as men. He's not establishing women to be over men. Because if we go to 1 Corinthians 11 and 3, it clearly states that the man is the head of the woman. And that doesn't change. So we're going to not go to that verse, but before we get into Deborah specifically, I want to show you something. Let's go to Numbers 27 and 16, and then we're going to start getting into the judges, which Deborah is listed as one of. Okay, we're just setting up some preliminary stuff right now. We want y'all to see some things, and then we're going to go back and kind of break it down and show you what exactly the Lord is saying. Go ahead and get that, King. King, before we go any further, I'm just saying, get this, get this. Do you have anything to add to this so far?
Nah.
Okay, if not, let's go ahead and get this.
This is the book of Numbers, chapter 27, verse 16. Let the Lord, the God of the spirits of all flesh, set a man over the congregation.
Now, we just read in Joel, it says that the Lord is going to pour out his spirit upon all flesh, and our sons and daughters will prophesy. Now, Numbers establish that God is the God of the spirits, right? The spirits of all flesh. So, God, all of our spirits belong to God. Ecclesiastes says that when we die, all spirits return to God, right? So, this is the God of the spirits of all flesh. And what did the prophet say? Let the Lord, let the Lord, the God of the spirits of all flesh, set a man over the congregation. So what are we saying? When we talked about prophesying said nothing about being over a congregation. Prophesying said nothing about leading the people. It talked about speaking. So therefore, if Brother Jew comes to me and says, look, the Lord came to me and said X, Y, Z, he's prophesied, whether it be true or be false. He's either a false prophet or he has told the truth that God came and told him that. But does that make him the head of a congregation? La. Do you see what I'm saying? Did I explain that well, Brother Jew? You need do you want to add anything to that?
You explained that perfectly.
Con. So therefore, if we have a sister who's a prophetess, yes, she hears from God. But when we talk about the congregation, that's the coming together of the saints. That's the coming together of the Israelites. She's not going to lead that. See, when they built the temple in the mold of what's already in heaven, you had an inner court, which only you had the holiest of holy, which only the high priest could go in. You had the inner court, which only men could go in. The women and children were outside. They didn't get the reading of the scripture straight from the priest. Because what did Paul say? If a woman has questions, let her go home and ask her own husband. Where did he get that from? Because the women were not in the inner court. Do you see what I'm saying? Because we're going to get into why we needed judges, and it had to do with the commandments. And so I'm kind of paraphrasing some commandments for you. I wanted to bring you into Numbers and show you what was laid out, that a man is to be over the congregation. So now let's go to Judges chapter 3 and verse 9. And we're going to see what happened versus what God's intention was tonight, okay? And you say, but God controls all things. Yes, he does. And God could have set things in a way where they only went according to the way he purposes. But then if God did that, we would not have free will. And so he's not looking for robots. God did not build androids. What he did with us was he created people. And he said, I put before you blessings and curses. Choose you this day whom you're going to serve. So we're going to look at was what happened, what was designed, and if not, what should have really have taken place. Okay, and we're going to look at the results of stepping outside of the perfect will of God. Okay, all right, go ahead and read for me 9, and then we'll see if we're going to jump into 10.
Come on, this is the book of Judges, chapter 3 and verse 9. And when the children of Israel cried unto the Lord raised up a deliverer to the children of Israel, who delivered them, even Othniel, the son of Kenaz, Caleb's younger brother.
Okay, so look. What had happened here is the children of Israel had sinned. So I wanted to show you right there where the children of Israel cried unto the Lord, and the Lord, listen now, the Lord raised up a deliverer. So this brother Othniel, he was called by the Most High to do a specific thing. Now let's see how the children of Israel got into trouble. Let's back up. Let's back up to verse 3 and read down, King. Judges 3 and 3.
Judges 3, verse 3. Namely,
hold on. We're going to go up further. Let's go to verse 1.
Verse 1. Now these are the nations which the Lord left to prove Israel by them, even as many of Israel also had not known all the wars of Canaan. Only that
So
the
the Lord is now
generations,
going to prove, hold on just a second, King. The Lord is now going to prove Israel. In other words, he has now allowed temptation to go in and to see what Israel is going to do about it. Go ahead and read, King.
verse
We're going
2,
to see what this temptation is.
only that the generations of the children of Israel might know, to teach them war, at the least such as before knew nothing thereof.
Mm-hmm.
Namely, 5 lords of the Philistines and all the Canaanites and the
Jump down to verse 4,
Sidonians.
King.
Verse 4, and they were to prove Israel by them, to know whether they would hearken unto the commandments of the Lord,
Okay,
which he
stop right
commanded.
there. Stop right there. So we read in verse 1 that the Lord wanted to prove Israel. What did he want to prove? Whether or not they will hearken, which means to hear and do the commandments of the Lord, of the Lord. Keep reading, King.
Which he commanded their fathers by the hand of Moses.
So their fathers were supposed to pass down the teachings of the Most High, which they heard from Moses. Okay, keep reading. Let's see what these commandments were that they were supposed to hearken to. We know they're supposed to keep all of them, but we're going to see what they broke.
Verse 5, and the children of Israel dwelt among the Canaanites, the Hittites, and Amorites, and Perizzites, and Hivites, and Jebusites.
So these are the nations that were in the land of Canaan when God gave us the land. And the commandment that he gave us is we were not to take their daughters to wife our sons, nor were we to take our sons, nor were we supposed to take our daughters and marry them to their sons. He said if we did that, our children would turn their hearts against him. Okay? Keep reading, let's see what our people did.
Verse 6, and they took their daughters to be their wives,
Mm-hmm.
and gave their daughters to their sons, and served their gods.
So they did exactly what the Most High said don't do, and the result was exactly what the Most High said it would be. So we talk to people a lot of times, and we tell them what's wrong. You can't do this. The result is this, and they want to know. Well, if God is such a loving God, why would He do that to anybody? No, God's a loving God, and God warned you that if you do this thing, this is what's going to happen. It's no different than me telling my son, say, if he's a little boy, and let's say I have a gas stove in my house. I said, when you see that flame, you don't put your hand up there, you're going to get burned. If he goes and does it anyway, how is that me doing something bad to him? Wasn't that his disobedience and the consequences came upon him? And that's all it is. God said, don't give your sons to them and don't take their daughters. If you do, your children are not going to serve me. They're not going to love me. They're going to turn from me. All right, verse 7, King.
Verse 7, and the children of Israel did evil in the sight of the Lord, and forgot the Lord their God, and served
Mhm.
Balaam and the groves.
Okay, so here we got the children of Israel. They do evil. What was the evil? They're taking on wives and husbands of the other nations. Okay, and as a result of that, they serve the gods of that nation. Okay, so we started off in verse 9, and we showed you that once that the children had been, once you start serving these other gods, you're hanging out with the other nation. These nations don't like you, and they start persecuting you. And they got persecuted to the point that they came back and they cried out to the Lord. That's in verse 9. And when they cried out, the Lord raised them up a deliverer, somewhat a savior. Okay, and that's Othniel. That's Caleb's younger brother. Well, Kenaz was Caleb's younger brother, but so Othniel is a nephew of Caleb. Let's go to verse 10, King.
Verse 10, and the Spirit of the Lord came upon him, and he judged Israel and went out to war. And the Lord delivered
The king of Mesopotamia,
the king of Mesopotamia into his hand, and his hand prevailed against
that king.
that king.
So I mean that name there, I don't know how
Yeah.
we pronounce that. What is that? Chushan-Rishathaim. But anyway, that king that was persecuting the children of Israel, which we gave him power to do by sinning. Othniel was called by the Lord to go up against him and to do battle and to defeat him. See, that's why Othniel is called a deliverer. And who called him? It said in verse 9, the Lord raised up a deliverer. And see, that's what we're looking for. If we're going to say that this guy judged Israel, we want to see where it says that the Lord put him in that place. So we have that confirmation about Othniel. So let's go now to if we could, let's go to just where I want to go. We did that. Let's go to verse 12. Let's go to verse 12. No, let's go to verse 11. Let me show you something.
Verse 11, and the land had rest 40 years. And
what did the land have, King?
Rest 40 years.
And go ahead and read.
And Othniel, the son of Kenaz, died.
So we have record of Othniel being called by the Most High. As a result of his obedience, the land of Israel had rest for 40 years. And then we have record of Othniel being gathered into his fathers. Okay? I mean, this is what you want. You want your name to be written. You want to be considered by God to the point that your death is even marked. All right? So let's go now to where I want to go. Let's keep reading down 13 and 14.
Verse 13. And he gathered.
Let's hold on. Let's hold on. But hold on just a second, King. I want to do something else. I was trying to see what Ehud comes in. I think I missed the verse. Okay, start in verse 12.
Verse 12. And the children of Israel did evil again in the sight of the Lord.
What did the children of Israel do, King?
Did evil again in the sight of the Lord.
So now we have Othniel dead, and soon as Othniel dies, the children of Israel turn back to their wickedness. Read, King.
And the Lord strengthened Eglon, the king of Moab, against Israel, because they had done evil in the sight of the Lord.
So because the Israelites were doing evil, the Lord actually strengthened a king of the Chinese or the Moabs to come against us and to oppress us. Okay, keep reading.
And he gathered unto him the children of Ammon and Amalek, and went. So
he gets the Israel. Japanese, and he gets Esau. Keep reading.
And went and smote Israel, and possessed the city of palm trees.
So he comes in, he defeats us. The Chinese, the Japanese, and Esau come in together. They defeat us, and then they possess us. Keep reading.
So the children of Israel served Eglon, the king of Moab, 18 years.
So now we go into captivity for 18 years as a result of our disobedience. See, all this stuff about integration, it's never been good for us. What works for us is segregation. And when we're segregated, we rise. When we integrate, we fall. Okay? So let's look at verse 15 and see what we do.
Verse 15. But when the children of Israel cried unto the Lord raised them up a deliverer, Ehud, the son of Gera, a Benjamite, a man left-handed, and by him the children of Israel sent a present unto Eglon, the king of Moab.
So right here, we have Ehud being brought on the scene now. All right? Ehud is now called our deliverer. And the reason he's a deliverer is because the Lord raised him up, okay? The Lord did that. The Lord called him to that position. The Lord gave him power. The Lord gave him strength. The Lord gave him everything he needed to know to make this happen. And it says that the children of Israel sent a present unto Eglon, king of Moab. We're not going to read this whole thing. I'm going to give you the gist of it. Eglon was a big fat man. Big fat man. Ehud, the present they sent was a dagger. Ehud goes in with a little craftiness, gets the king's people that watch over him, get them to let him into the palace, and he actually stabs this king with the dagger. And it was so fat that it says that his fat covered the dagger, so they could not pull it out. And then Eglon escapes. Okay, so let's go down now to verse 28. We're going to read 28 to 30. So I brought you up to that point, and now we're going to see what happens afterwards. Go ahead, King.
Verse 28.
Okay, now we're talking, when it starts off and says, and he said, we're talking about Ehud, our deliverer, okay? Go ahead, King.
Verse 28. And he said unto them, follow after me, for the Lord hath delivered your enemies, the Moabites, into your hand.
Mm-hmm.
And they went down after him and took the fords of Jordan toward Moab and suffered not a man to pass over.
Mm-hmm. So all of Israel went over to this battle. Keep reading, King.
And they slew of Moab at the time about 10,000 men, all lusty, and all men of valor, and there escaped not a man.
Okay, so these Moabites, these were war-hungry men. These men proven in war. It says they are men of valor, but what they had wrong with them is they were lusty. Okay? These were sinful men, and that's why we can't mingle with heathens. Even when they seem to have good qualities, what's underneath is wicked. Keep reading, King.
So Moab was subdued that day under the hand of Israel, and the land had rest 80 years.
All right, all right. So 80 years the land had rest. Again, 40 years there was rest because Ehud went in and did what the Lord had asked him to do. Okay. Now, after that, let's jump down to Judges 4:1. We're about to get into Ruth in Judges 4, but I want you to see something about Ehud before we do. Let me go to the next chapter because I showed you with Othniel, even his death was marked. Let me see. It won't let me go over. Let me see. All right, go ahead. Verse 1, King.
With the Judges chapter 4, verse 1. And the children of Israel again did evil in the sight of the Lord when Ehud was dead.
So when did they do evil? When Ehud was dead. See, as long as that deliverer was in place, they knew that they had someone who was going to follow the laws of Moses, and you did evil, you were going to be punished. There were going to be consequences. The children of Israel walked on. And so you need to keep that in mind even with your children. If you don't discipline your children, if there are no consequences, then what you're going to get is total chaos. And that's what's happening here. All right? So as long as Ehud lived, the children of Israel were in their own land, they prospered. But the minute he died, what happened? Verse 2. Well, it told us in verse 1. They did evil. But what happened? Verse 2.
Verse 2. And the Lord sold them into the hand of Jabin, king of Canaan.
All right. So now the Israelites go into slavery to the Africans. Why? Because we sin. Okay? And you got to keep that in mind. Keep noticing. We sin, we cry out, God sends us a deliverer or a judge, whichever you want to call it. We walk in line for the rest of that generation, and then the next generation comes back and sins again. And we just keep doing this over and over. We never learn, okay? We just keep doing the wicked thing. Let's jump down. Well, let's keep reading that, verse 2, and we're about to get into Deborah.
That reigned in Hazor, the captain of whose host was Sisera, which dwelt in Harosheth of the Gentiles.
Harosheth of the Gentiles. These are heathens. These are wicked nations. Okay. Verse 3. Let's see Deborah come on the scene.
And the children of Israel cried unto the Lord, for he had 900 chariots of iron. In 20 years he mightily oppressed the children of Israel.
So this heathen, this African, he had 900 chariots of iron. And he used that to keep us under control, to keep us under his foot. He oppressed us, okay? Look at verse 4.
Verse 4. And Deborah, a prophetess.
What is Deborah?
A prophetess.
Deborah is a prophetess. And we told you that the prophetess hears from the Lord. She delivers messages from the Most High. Keep reading, King.
The wife of Lapidoth, she judged Israel at that time.
Okay, now let's break this down now. It says that Deborah hears from God. Then it goes on to tell you that Deborah is a wife of Lapidoth. Do you notice that it did not list the wives of any of the other judges? See, you got to catch on to this because it's telling you that Deborah has a head. And what did Deborah do? She judged Israel at that time. So I'm going to ask you what is missing there, because there's something that you saw with the other, with all of the other judges. Each judge before Deborah, it says that the Lord called them. You don't see that with Deborah. And we're going to harp on that, and we're going to show you some more proof of that, okay? But let's read that again. And Deborah what?
And Deborah, a prophetess, the wife of Lapidoth, she judged Israel at that time.
Okay, I'm going to stay right here, King. Go back to Judges 3 and 15 and read about Ehud for me, if you would.
Khan, this is the book of Judges, chapter 3, verse 15. But when the children of Israel cried unto the Lord raised them up a deliverer, Ehud, the son of Gera, a Benjamite.
So
a
who
man
raised up
left
Ehud? Who raised up Ehud?
the Lord.
The Lord. Now give me Judges 3 and 9. We're going to talk about Othniel again, because you're not going to see this about Deborah. And you got to take note of this. Judges 3 and 9.
Verse 9. And when the children of Israel cried unto the Lord raised up a deliverer to the children of Israel, who delivered them, even Othniel, the son of Kenaz, Caleb's
Right there,
younger
King.
brother.
Right there. So we're going to look for this from Deborah. The Lord ought to be saying the same thing about Deborah if Deborah is truly the judge of Israel. I'm going to show you how Deborah became the judge in just a minute. But we're going to show you that this is not said about Deborah. Deborah was not called. We're going to show you who was called. And we're going to even go into the New Testament and prove it. Okay? Let's go back to Judges 4. And let's read, we're going to jump down to verse 6. So now we had Deborah being called, and Deborah's going to send for someone. Verse 6, King.
Verse 6. And she sent and called Barak, the son of Abinon, out of Kedeshah Naphtali, and said unto him, Hath not the Lord God of Israel commanded, saying, Go and draw toward Mount Tabor, and take with thee 10,000 men of the children of Naphtali and the children of Zebulun.
Okay, so now we have a dilemma. It says that Deborah judged Israel. But if we look at verse 6, Deborah is confirming that the Lord actually commanded Barak to lead his military against the Canaanites. See, you have to understand something. God called Barak in this instance. But we're going to show you what Barak did, why Deborah got credit. Okay? And Deborah's going to actually explain this to him. All right. So now back up to verse 5. This is very key.
Verse 5. And she dwelt under the palm tree of Deborah, between Ramah and Bethel, in Mount Ephraim. And the children of Israel came up to her for judgment.
What did the children of Israel do that were doing wickedly already?
Came up to her for judgment.
See, we don't see where Deborah was called to judge Israel. What we see is the children of Israel went to the prophetess. See, you have to understand something. When God calls you to be a judge, we went over in this book where it says that God called them. What we're saying here is the children went to her. We're saying that in verse 6 that Barak was commanded to go up against the Canaanites. Now let's watch and see what Barak does. Go down to verse 8.
Verse 8. And Barak said unto her, If thou wilt go with me, then I will go. But if thou wilt not go with me, then I will not go.
So what did Barak say? Read that again.
If thou wilt go with me, then I will go. But if thou wilt not go with me, then I will not go.
So Barak is called by God. And rather than Barak going and do what God told him, he tells the prophetess, I'm only going if you go. You got to go with me. I know that you hear from God, so therefore I want you with me. It doesn't matter that the prophetess has told him that he was supposed to go, that he was called, that he was commanded. Go to verse 9. Now she's going to explain what's going to happen as a result of his disobedience.
Verse 9. And she said, I will surely go with thee, notwithstanding the journey that thou takest shall not be for thine honor, for the Lord shall sell Sisera into the hand of a woman. And Deborah arose and went with Barak to Kadesh.
This is the key right here, where she says, notwithstanding the journey that thou takest shall not be for thine honor. So you might say, well, this brother, he has humility. No, that's not what it is. This brother was disobedient. And as a result, God still called him to do the task. God still empowered him to do the task. But there was a mark upon Israel because of the way that he did it. He actually told a woman who's somebody else's wife, you're going to come with me or I'm not going. She went and she got credit. Now, I want to take you to a scripture real quick in Apocrypha. Let's go to where is that by preeminence? Sirach 33 and 22. Sirach 33 and 22. Let's get that real quick. Let me show you what Barak did.
33 and 22.
Come on, give me just a second. Still getting that, King. Let me get back to do something real quick. I got to unshare my screen and reshare it. All right. Take me just a second. Share screen. All right. So we're going to Sirach 33. Oh, that time trying to get away from us. Felt like we needed some background before we can jump into this one. This is a hard subject. All right. Let's read this, King.
This is the book of Sirach, chapter 33 and verse 22. In all thy works, keep to thyself the preeminence.
Okay, King. In all thy what?
In all thy works, keep to thyself.
So in all thy works, and everything you do, you're supposed to keep the preeminence. See, if God gives you power over something, you're supposed to maintain that. You're not supposed to give it to someone else. If you do, what happens? Read on, King.
Leave not a stain in thine honor.
And what did she say? He would not get the honor for this battle. It says, leave not a stain in thine honor. Had he kept the preeminence, he would be known as a judge of Israel, not Deborah. But because he said, I will only go if you go with me, I'm going to show you what they end up doing further down the line. He didn't stop right there. It gets better. Got anything to add to that, King?
La. La.
Come. We're going to see what Barak does even further on. See, Barak was supposed to judge Israel. That's who was called. Barak says, I'll only go if you go with me. We're going back to Judges chapter 4 real quick. We're going to get into chapter 5 in a second. Let's do this. Let's go to Judges 5 and 1. Let's go to Judges 5 and 1 real quick. So, true enough, Barak and Deborah go. And do I want to get to the song already? Let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and do that because we're getting short on time. So look at what Barak and Deborah do. Judges 5 and 1.
Book of Judges, chapter 5, verse 1. Then sang Deborah and Barak, the son of Abinom, on that day, saying.
Okay, stop right there. Now look. They've gone to battle. Israel has defeated the Canaanites. And now Deborah and Barak sit down to sing a song. Now, I wanted you to see that it's them singing. Now let's jump down to verse 12 and see what they're saying. Verse 12.
Verse 12. Awake, awake, Deborah, awake, awake. Utter a song, arise, Barak, and lead thy captivity captive, thou son of Abinom.
So do you see Barak is still giving away his preeminence? He's singing a song with Deborah, acknowledging Deborah as helping to lead in this battle. When he's the one that led in battle, if you read the story, Deborah was on the hill and Barak goes down and takes the men and goes and defeats the Canaanites. You have to understand that what happened here was not God calling Deborah, but Barak putting Deborah in a place of honor. See, he gave away his preeminence. Let's go back now to Judges chapter 4 real quick. And then we're going to go look at Barak further in a little bit. Let's go to let's go to verse 10. Let's see what Barak said. I'm going to read verse 8, King, then you start in 10. So we ended off in verse 8. It says, and Barak said unto her, if thou wilt go with me, then I will go. But if thou wilt not go with me, then I will not go. All right? And then she goes on to say, I will surely go with thee, notwithstanding the journey that thou takest shall not be for thine honor. So she acknowledges that he's going to take the journey. He's going to do the battle, but he's not going to get honor for it. And what did we read in Sirach? You don't give your preeminence to anyone. And if you do, you're going to lose your honor. And that's what happened to him. Let's go to verse 10. Go ahead and read, King.
Verse 10. And Barak called Zebulun and Naphtali to Kadesh, and he went up with 10,000 men at his feet, and Deborah went up with him.
So look at what happened. Barak calls his army together. He calls two tribes of Israel. He calls Zebulun and he calls Naphtali. So he has now 10,000 fighting men with him. It says they're at his feet. In other words, he controls them. He's the leader. But then it goes on to say, and Deborah went up with him. See, he's giving away his preeminence. That's what you have to see in this story. Now we go down to, let's go down to verse 14.
Verse 14. And Deborah said unto Barak, up, For this is the day in which the Lord hath delivered Sisera into thine hand. And is not the Lord gone out before thee? So Barak went down from Mount Tabor, and 10,000 men after him.
So Barak leads his army. And go ahead to verse 15. Let's see if they were successful or not.
Verse 15. And the Lord discomfited Sisera and all his chariots and all his host with the edge of the sword before Barak, so that Sisera lighted down off his chariot and fled away on his feet.
So if you go on to read all of this, Barak pursues him. A woman tells him tells Barak where this man is hiding. Barak puts him to death, and he and Deborah sing about all of that. So Barak went out and did the work, but Barak didn't get the honor because of the way Barak did this. Barak told this woman, I'm not going unless you go with me. You're actually going to say, I'm going to not do what the Most High has told me to do unless you go with me. See, sometimes God has used people even if they're not 100% in. Now, what happens later on, if you remember, with Ehud and Othniel, the Bible talks about them dying. Now, if you go ahead and read down through here, we're going to go back to chapter 5. You're not going to see anything about the death of Deborah nor the death of Barak, okay? It's not marked. I challenge anybody to find it. You don't see Deborah being called? Right here. It says, but let them, verse 31, so let all thine enemies perish, O Lord, but let them that love him be as the sun when he goeth forth in his might, and the land had rest 40 years. Where is the mark of their death? Let's go to Judges 6 real quick. I want to show you something. Is it in Judges 6? I think that's where Gideon is, in Judges 6. I think Judges 6. Let me see. Now look, in 6 and 1, we just have that we have peace for 40 years. 6 and 1. Go ahead and read that, King.
Khan is the book of Judges, verse Salakia. Is the book of Judges, chapter 6, verse 1. And the children of Israel did evil in the sight of the Lord, and the Lord delivered them into the hand of Midian 7 years.
Okay, so we have peace for 40 years. Now we're doing evil in the sight of the Lord. Where did it say that Deborah died or Barak died? Do you see what I'm saying? It's not even marked. Because what they did was they did not follow the Lord Most High. He used them because that's what he had available. But ultimately, you have to follow the Lord to the letter. Let me see. I'm looking for Gideon real quick. It's down in here. I want to show you something about Gideon.
I think you just passed it.
I passed it.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, let's go to verse 11. So right before 11, the children cried out to God. Let's go to verse 6. I'm going to read 6. You go ahead down to 11, King. It says, and Israel was greatly impoverished because of the Midianites, and the children of Israel cried unto the Lord. So that's Judges 6 and 6. Now let's go down to verse 11. Now Gideon, if you remember, he's the one that led 300 men into battle and defeated the enemy. But Gideon was not always sure that he could do this thing. But this is what the Lord did. Start in verse 11, King.
Verse 11. And there came an angel of the Lord and sat under an oak, which was in Ophrah, that pertained unto Joash the Asbarite. And his son Gideon threshed wheat by the winepress to hide it from the Midianites.
Keep reading.
And the angel of the Lord appeared unto him and said unto him, the Lord is with thee, thou mighty man of valor.
Okay, so I just wanted to come here real quick. I wanted to show you Gideon, who we speak of a lot. We speak of very highly. He was a judge of Israel, and God called him. God sent an angel to speak to him face to face. And Gideon is known even today. God called Gideon, and Gideon did not take another man or woman to go with him. Gideon doubted. Gideon asked questions. Gideon asked for proof. You can go back and read the story yourself. But ultimately, Gideon did what the Lord told him to do. Ultimately, Barak got it done, but Barak went against Numbers 11, where it says a man is supposed to rule over the congregation. See, the Israelites went against God when they went to the prophetess to be judged. See, if a prophetess gets a message, she can go to Brother Jude and she say, Brother Jude, got something to tell you. You know, you may not take this or you may take it, but the Lord has come to me and he said X, Y, Z. Now, what Brother Jude does with it is his business. But if she actually heard from God, what she says is going to come true. If she is a false prophet, it won't. Do you see what I'm saying? Um, let's do this. We're getting short on time. Let's go to Hebrews real quick. You got anything on that, bro?
La.
I want to go to Hebrews 11. So a lot of times this is called the Wall of Fame, and it lists people that did great things under the power of God, okay? Now there's somebody listed down in verse 32, but before we get there, I want to go start off in verse 27. Do we want to start there? Let's start in verse 24. Let's talk about this great man. And I want you to see that everything that we do, we're supposed to do by faith. And you're going to keep hearing this term, by faith. Let's start in verse 23, King. Go ahead.
With the Hebrews chapter 11, verse 23. By faith, Moses, when he was born, was hid 3 months of his parents, because they saw he was a proper child, and they were not afraid of the king's commandment.
So the parents chose God over the king. It says, by faith. Keep reading, King.
By faith, Moses, when he was come to years, refused to be called the son of Pharaoh's daughter.
And how did Moses do that? By faith. Keep reading, King.
Choosing rather to suffer affliction with the people of God than to enjoy the pleasures of sin for a season.
The pleasures of sin for a season. Moses rejected it. And how did he do it? Just like we have to, by faith. Keep reading, King. I tell you what, let's jump down now. Let's jump down to verse 29.
Verse 29. By faith, they passed through the Red Sea as by dry land, which the Egyptians, assaying to do, were drowned.
So when the waters were around them, the storm was there, you got the enemy at your back. What did the Israelites do? By faith, they crossed the Red Sea. What did the Israelites do before then in verse 28? They kept the Passover. That's a hint to y'all that don't want to keep the Passover. Go ahead down to verse 30, King.
Verse 30. By faith, the walls of Jericho fell down, and they were compassed about 7 days.
7 days we marched around those walls. The people on those walls had to be looking at us saying they're crazy. But what happened? After 7 days of marching, the walls of Jericho fell down, and we went in and we took the city. Keep reading, King.
By faith, the harlot Rahab perished, not with them that believed not, when she had deceived the spies with peace.
So by faith, the harlot Rahab. Now, her past don't matter because now she's entered into a different realm and it's by faith. See, you got to confess those sins that are behind you. You got to forget them and you got to move by faith. Keep reading, King.
And what shall I more say? For the time would fail me to tell of Gideon and of Barak and of Samson and of Jephthah, of David also, and Samuel, and of the prophets.
So now we get into a man named Barak, the same Barak that we were talking about in the book of Judges, where it says that Deborah judged the people. Well, where's Deborah's name? See, the people went up to Deborah. God didn't call Deborah to do that. It says in verse 32, and what shall I more say? He said, I don't have enough time to talk about Gideon and Barak and Samson. Samson was a judge. You didn't see people coming up to Samson. What Samson did, he defeated the Philistines with the jawbone of an ass. I think he killed 20-something thousand men. See, it was by faith. And that's how you got to move, is by faith. Stop looking for things that might be outside of the commandments of God and trying to make it right. See, we got punished for not keeping the commandments. So then if you read a story and it goes outside the commandments, just know that God's still showing you right and wrong, and read in depth on what it's saying instead of trying to move with things outside the commandments. If you read about Deborah, never did you see what Deborah was going into the temple teaching. So why would you say that has anything to do with teaching? You're stretching this thing. What Deborah did is she judged the people. And why did she judge them? Because the people came to her and allowed it. Let me show you something. Let's go to 2 Chronicles chapter 11 real quick. So you remember that the kingdom split. We had the northern kingdom and we had the southern kingdom, okay? Now, when the kingdom split, the Levites, who were our priests, were actually with the northern kingdom. But let me show you why they ended up in the southern kingdom. We're going to 2 Chronicles 11:14.
This is the book of 2 Chronicles, chapter 11,
Hold on,
verse
King.
14.
Hold on just a second. Let's go in verse 13.
This is the book of 2 Chronicles, chapter 11, verse 13. And the priests and the Levites that were in all Israel resorted to him out of all their coast. Verse 14, for the Levites left their suburbs in their possession and came to Judah and Jerusalem. For Jeroboam and his sons had cast them off from executing the priest's office unto the Lord.
So God, from the beginning, set up the Levites to be the priests. Now, when the kingdom split, the Levites that were in the northern kingdom, Jeroboam, who was the wicked king of the northern kingdom, did not want them to be the priests. He didn't want the law read. He didn't want to honor God. So what did they do? They actually told these priests that you are no longer priests in this land. Verse 15, let's see what they did and said.
And he ordained him priests for the high places.
What did he do, King? What did he do?
And he ordained him priests for the high places, and for the devils, and for the calves which he had made.
So look. So now what happens is Jeroboam creates his own priests. Okay? And when it says the high places, those are places of worship. And what did he do it for? For the devils and for the calves which he had made. No different than when we came out of the land of Egypt and we created a golden calf. But look at that. It says for the devils. Do you see what I'm saying? He ordained priests. We as people can put people in any position we want to. That doesn't mean that God's in it. Do you see what I'm saying? So we have to know that. We have to realize that. And so when you read something and everybody else is being called, you find the calling of the person you're reading about. Because we got this habit in Israel. We want to go find these one-offs. We want to say, oh, there's nothing wrong with sleeping with a prostitute because in the Bible, this brother did it. Well, if that's the case, there's nothing wrong with committing murder. Cain murdered his brother. But don't we have a commandment that tells us that we shall not murder? See, it's the commandments that matter. We got punished for not keeping the commandments. Stop looking for what brothers did. See, when you look for what brothers did, you need to look at the result of it. If a brother did not keep the commandments, let's talk about a man after God's own heart. We have King David. He actually had a man killed after he had slept with this man's wife. There were consequences. God said, as a result of that, blood should never leave David's house. After David did that, his son rapes his daughter. His other son kills that son. That same son, Absalom, comes and overthrows David, kicks him out of the city, and sleeps with 10 of David's concubines up on the rooftop for everybody to see. Then David's men had killed the son. Do you see what I'm saying? Before then, the son that was born out of sin, where he found Bathsheba, that young man died. This was all brought up on David because of what David had done. See, we're too quick to write stuff off. We don't want to say we sinned, and as a result of our sin, these are the consequences that have come into our life. You better recognize, because if you don't, you're going to keep walking that evil path. And when you walk that evil path, things are going to happen. Want to go to Ephesians chapter 4 real quick. You got anything on that, King?
La.
I can't hear you, King.
I said la.
Did you say yes or no on it? Okay, calm. Let's go to Ephesians chapter 4, verse 11. No, let's do this. Let's go to Acts 21, verse 8, real quick, and then we're going to go to Ephesians. That's probably going to be our last two verses. Let's go to Acts. Acts 21:11. All right. Let's read this real quick. Was it 21:11 I wanted? 21:8. My bad. All right, go ahead, King.
This is the book of Acts, chapter 21, verse 8. And the next day, Salakia, and the next day, we that were of Paul's company departed and came unto Caesarea, and we entered into the house of Philip the evangelist, which was one of 7, and abode with him.
So Philip was the evangelist, and he was one of the 7 that were selected when the Grecian women were not getting their share of the daily allowance. So he was one of those 7 men that were full of the Holy Ghost. That was a requirement. And they were to distribute fairly to everyone. Okay. And you can go back and read that story. Verse 9 is what I'm trying to get, King. Go ahead.
Verse 9. And the same man had 4 daughters, virgins, which did prophesy.
So Philip had 4 daughters. The evangelist had 4 daughters. And these daughters did prophesy. We started off where it talked about our sons and daughters were going to prophesy. Okay? So this is not anything out of the ordinary. But I want to show you something in Ephesians chapter 4. Remember, I told you that a prophetess, just like a prophet, she can bring you a message, but she's not going to lead the congregation. Now, let's look at who leads the congregation. Ephesians 4:11. So now it starts off.
The book of Ephesians.
And he gave some. And it's talking about some Israelites. And it's going to show you the different offices that are given to lead Israelites. Go ahead and read, King.
This is the book of Ephesians, chapter 4, verse 11. And he gave some apostles, and some prophets, and some evangelists, and some pastors and teachers.
For what, King?
For the perfecting of the saints, for the work of the ministry, for the edifying of the body of Christ.
What I want you to see in this is if you go in, I'm not going into all of them, but I'm going to go into prophets. If you go into each one of these titles, apostles, prophets, evangelists, which we saw Philip was, who had the 4 daughters who prophesied, pastors and teachers, they're all masculine words, okay? None of these have anything to do with a woman. I've checked it out in the past. You can go check out behind me. But notice what you don't see is prophetess. See, prophetess is not given to the church for the perfecting of the saints, for the edifying of the body, to teach people to work in the ministry. That's not what a prophetess's role is. A prophet is And some of us are going to be under apostles. Some of us are going to be under prophets. Some of us are going to be under evangelists. That's why you have brothers going out on the corner teaching, because in Israel now, evangelists are needed, and God has put that spirit out. A whole lot of us are doing evangelistic work now. Some pastors and some teachers. And I kind of see Iron Horn of Zion in this role down here as pastors and teachers. We end up, the group of us, it just seems that our teachings have more to do with edifying the body, building up, teaching you how to lead your family, teaching you how to walk with God. That's what a pastor slash teacher does. Okay, so that's our role. We realize that in Iron Horn Design. We've been talking about that a lot. We came together, brothers of like mind. We have a community. We don't even call ourselves a camp really. And what we do is our teachings end up being about life in general, whether it's current events, which you're going to get a lot of that if you tune in on Wednesday nights. Tune in on Saturdays. The brother goes from current stuff to just how to deal with your family. And then if you tune in with me, and I told you we're moving to Tuesday nights now. If you tune in with me and Brother Jew, we're doing a lot on developing yourself, and leading your family. And the things that we have been taught that have allowed us to fall, we're telling you about them and telling you how to correct that to move forward. So we see ourselves as pastor teachers, okay? But you're not going to see prophetess in this. But we wanted to show you that prophetess is a real thing. Okay? Now let's go now to the tools and let's look up prophets real quick. Let's see. Prophets right here. Mm, nah. Right here is what I want you to see. If you can see my cursor, it says masculine noun. And in each one of these offices that I pointed out, it's going to say masculine noun if you go into it. When you look up prophetess, it's going to say feminine. God loves our women. Mary, blessed among women. Deborah, she was a prophetess. She's hearing straight from God. So these are not, it's not like we're belittling when we're saying, no, women can't teach. Women are going to teach, but mostly with their lifestyle. You're going to win your husband over by how you behave. You're going to win over younger women by how you behave. And even when y'all are sitting down and questions are being asked, you're going to go turn to the scriptures and you're going to be able to teach them. But as far as men, no, that would be inappropriate. And you're going to have to get into these scriptures and prove it to yourself that I'm wrong if you're going to do that. Don't just go out and do it. If you get in these scriptures and you can prove that I'm wrong and you're satisfied with that, hey, more power to you. Okay. But what I'm telling you is make sure you're keeping these commandments. Because if you don't, what happened to Israel in the past was bondage. And you as an individual can go into bondage too. Believe me, there's slavery going on right now. People are being kidnapped and not being found. Okay. There's torture going on. You don't want to be involved in this. Okay. Brother Jew, you got anything to add there, bro?
I say to be sure to send the link out for the previous lesson playlist.
Let's see if Mathanya sent that out. He said he was going to do it. Let me see. Yeah. At the 8:03 p.m. mark, looks like he did that. But the water for reminding me about that, King, because I definitely have forgotten. Trying to make sure that wasn't me that did that. I don't know if he did it or not. That might have been me. So you got to redeem us. He said I added. I don't know if it. Okay, I'm gonna put it out there again. I'm gonna grab it real quick. Won't take me but a second. Okay, so the brother was telling me family discussion. Our previous lessons. We have 33 lessons out there. So I'm going to copy that and put it in the chat. If it's out there already, that's okay. You'll have it more than once. And then we're going to get out of here once we do that. All right, it should be out there now. Let me verify that. So if you go up to the beginning messages, we have the playlist for what we're doing now, which is the whole truth. And I just added the playlist for family discussion. All right. Love y'all, Israel. I'm going to say Shalom. Brother Jew.
Hey, shalom. Love y'all.
Love y'all. Love y'all. Shalom, family.